I'm going to share with you my ranking of every Ozzy era Sabbath album. But before we start, I am only doing the albums that were released from 1970 to 1978, which means I will not be including 13 for only one reason. Because I haven't really listened to 13 as much as I listened to the original 8 studio albums, which is probably a problem, but I will get to that. I will listen to it more. I know my favorite on that album is probably "God Is Dead?" question mark or Zeitgeist. I really enjoyed those two songs. Just to get that out of the way, I'm only going to do the first 8 albums, but I'm going to be ranking it on my taste and personal experience with that album, and like my journey towards listening to that album and what I really liked about the album, obviously. But also be putting into the fact that how classic songs are, what songs are on that album, and obviously how it makes me feel. But with that being said, coming in at number 8, dead last, which I think this is going to be said by a lot of Sabbath fans, it's going to be Never Say Die. This album, by all means, is not the greatest thing that Ozzy or Sabbath has done. It is, if I were to give it a word, I'd probably give it decent. Um, Ozzy didn't really put as much effort as he did into the other albums for reasons like him and his wife were having a lot of troubles back then. He had lots of drug problems and a lot of alcohol problems, and just struggling with the manager. I know they had to fire him because of certain stuff happening. They were just trying to keep everything under control, and everything was just slowly falling apart. And I think you can hear that in the songs. But Never Say Die, it's not the greatest album that they've made, but I don't really think it showcased anything that the other albums did, like I just said. But I think the only song besides Never Say Die that was good was Junior's Eyes. That song was good, but I heard in the grapevine that from Bill and Geezer that Ozzy didn't really try on the vocals and that he really slacked, and Bill and Geezer kind of had to pitch in and sing a little bit of the vocals on that, which is very sad. And you just kind of hear that, but then it like evolves into a whole new, just incredible thing that happened in 1980 with Ozzy and Randy and everything. And they also had good stuff for Sabbath too. They got Dio, they made Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules. I think everything happened for a reason, and I think it was good. Definitely helped them both succeed in different directions. But I really thought it was an underwhelming song selection. I thought it was going to be something great because previously I just listened to all of them. I left Technical Ecstasy, and then I jumped right into Never Say Die not too long after that. But yeah, this is why it's my number 8. I didn't really enjoy it as much as the other ones, basically. But yeah, that is why Never Say Die is at my number 8 spot. My number 7 spot, which is very difficult to say that this is one of my favorite albums, but I really enjoyed this album a whole lot. It isn't my favorite, but I really enjoyed it a lot, and I think it gets very hated on way too much. Number 7 is Tentacle Ecstasy. I think Tentacle Ecstasy is a really good album. I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's my favorite, but I don't really think it deserves all the hate that it deserves. Doesn't deserve. I just don't think it deserves all that hate, like Sabotage, which I'll get to in a minute. But Technical Ecstasy had a great song selection. I think You Won't Change Me, Rock and Roll Doctor, Dirty Women, It's Alright, and Backstreet Kids are probably the best songs on that album. And Gypsy. They're really just good songs. I really enjoyed that. I really like the tone and feeling and like energy of that album. It's very, very severely underrated, but it's obviously not as good as the others, and it's not my favorite. But I just really enjoy that album, listening through it, and it's a really good album. To say the least, it's a very good album. That's why it is at my number 7. Say what you will, I think Tentacle Ecstasy is a good album. If I were to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 4 or 5 out of 10. But yeah, that's my number 7 spot, Tentacle Ecstasy. Number 6, which is probably gonna spark a lot of comments, but Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I think is a great album, but I don't think it's their best album, which is probably why Tentacle Ecstasy is number 7. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath had a great song selection. It has Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, obviously the title track, Sabracadabra, and National Acrobat, which is the songs that I can remember being really, really good. National Acrobat is probably one of my favorites Sabbath songs, and I think it'll be said by a lot of people. But yeah, it just had a good song selection. It had like that was sort of a darker tone than what Volume 4 had, which was the album previous to Sabbath. I really liked it, but which I'll get to in a minute about why the album next is better. But Sabbath is at my number 6. I enjoyed it, but it's not their best in my opinion. Number 5 is Volume 4. I like Volume 4 more than I like Sabbath. A lot of people don't think that, and a lot of people think Volume 4 is not their best. I don't think it's their best either. I just think it's better than Sabbath. Volume 4 had really, really good songs on it, and it just had a good tone and energy like Technical Ecstasy. The 3 songs that I can remember being my favorite are Tomorrow's Dream, Changes, and Laguna Sunrise. I really enjoyed those songs a whole lot. Like I said, I like the tone and energy of it. I just really enjoyed the song selection and going through that album, like from start to finish. It was really fun to just experience something new for the first time, especially that album and listening to the entire discography from Ozzy, Dio, Gillan. It was just a great experience. Volume 4 was definitely one of my favorites. That's why it's in my top 5. So yeah, number 5, Volume 4. At my number 4 spot, it's Master of Reality. I have people saying that Master of Reality is number 1 or number 2. I really enjoyed Master of Reality, but it's not really my favorite. It had a dark, more menacing tone, which means like they kind of eventually carried on to what we know now as metal. It had like doom metal, to say the least, what people call it now for some reason. They put that in doom metal list, but I really enjoyed the instrumental into the heavy hitting songs like Embryo and The Children of the Grave, or Solitude and Embryo and Orchid and Sweet Leaf, and all that was just a really, really great experience to find out the first time and listen to. Master of Reality definitely is a staple of one of the greatest metal albums of all time, but it's just not my favorite. I really enjoyed it, but it's just not my favorite. Definitely one of the best Sabbath albums, but just not my personal like top 3 favorite. But yeah, that is why it's in my number 4, Master of Reality. Number 3, a very, very criminally underrated album, and I definitely don't understand why it's never really talked about. My number 3 spot is Sabotage. Sabotage is a great album. I don't care what all you haters say. Sabotage is one of the best Sabbath albums, period. Like hands down, bar none, Sabotage is my top 3, and I think it should be in everybody's top 5 at least. Sabotage had a great song selection, like especially Hole in the Sky, Don't Start Too Late, and Symptom of the Universe. All of them flowing into one beautiful, like little, just instrumental, like song, like masterpiece almost. That was a staple, and I think one of the best album intros into like a huge thing of all time. It's definitely one of my favorites, and Sabotage really hit that sort of obscure vibe of metal, which I really like. It kind of reminds me of the first Iron Maiden album for some reason. It just gives me that vibe. But yeah, I think it's an overall great album, and I think it should be talked about by everyone and not hated on so much. Sabotage is a really great album, and I definitely recommend it to anybody who's just starting to listen to Sabbath or just starting to get into the metal scene. But yeah, my number 3 spot, Sabotage. My number 2 spot is Black Sabbath's debut album entitled Black Sabbath. I believe it's one of the best debut albums in metal and rock of all time. It was released in 1970, February 13th, which was Friday, which is cool because it was like horror slash blues mixed, which is really cool. I really like that early metal and blues mix, kind of like they were starting to merge everything and create something extraordinary after. But my 3 favorite songs are Behind the Wall of Sleep, NIB, and The Wizard. Those songs are really, really good, and I still listen to them on a daily today. And yeah, I really enjoy Black Sabbath, the debut album. But I really enjoy that album a whole lot, and that's why it's at my number 2 spot. My number 1, which I mentioned in numerous videos about why this is my number 1 favorite Sabbath album, is Paranoid. This is by far, in my opinion, the greatest Sabbath album ever created. Heaven and Hell is up there, but Paranoid is really, really good. I don't think there's anything wrong with that album whatsoever. I know people hate on Hand of Doom. I don't know why. Another criminally underrated song on a Sabbath album. Hand of Doom is great. I don't care what people say. That interlude that bridge into the solo, oh Jesus. It is, God, one of the heaviest riffs I've ever heard of in my entire life. It's awesome. It had a smooth flow of songs, and it was just absolutely incredible. I love Paranoid, and nobody will ever change my mind. Paranoid, great album. I think that could be said by literally any metal or Sabbath fan. But yeah, Paranoid, really great album. I don't think there's anything wrong with that album. But yeah, this is my ranking of every Ozzy era Sabbath album, besides 13. But if I were to rate 13 so far from what I've heard, I give it a 6 out of 10. I really enjoyed those two songs by themselves, mostly because of people like saying, hey, listen to this. I listened to it. It was really good. I really like the fact that they kind of got together. I know Bill Ward didn't do it for reasons, but that I still don't really know. I'll have to research more on that. But anyways, I'm ranting as usual, but this is my ranking of every Ozzy era Sabbath album. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed sharing this with you guys. Comment your top 5 and or just comment your entire list of the ranking and everything. But like, comment, subscribe, just hit the notification bell so that way you know when I release more videos and post on my community. But besides all that, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.